This is Under Review, the show that talks about Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports stories as well. I'm Jordan Long. We're going to start with the World Series. As we all know, it begins tonight, and the matchup is the Philadelphia Phillies versus the Houston Astros. Let's see how both teams got to this point. Philadelphia wasn't even supposed to get this far. Why? Well, they earned a spot in the playoffs as a wildcard team. In fact, they were the last wildcard team in the National League with a record of 87 wins and 75 losses. In the wildcard round, which is a best of three, they faced the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, they swept the St. Louis Cardinals, outscoring them 8-3. Next up was the division series against the World Series champions, or I should say, the defending World Series champions, Atlanta Braves. Well, Philadelphia knocked them off 3-1. In the National League Championship Series, it was another wildcard team, the San Diego Padres. Now, if you tune into Confidential, and we at that show actually said there was no way that a wildcard team would win the pennant. Well, we were dead wrong, since the Padres and the Phillies were wildcard teams. So the Padres were the other wildcard team. Remember, there were three wildcard teams, and the San Diego Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies were two of the three. Well, Philadelphia won that series 4-1. This is Philadelphia's first appearance in the World Series since 2008 when they defeated the Tampa Bay Rays. That is how Philadelphia got here. Let's see how Houston got here. Houston finished the regular season at 106 wins and 56 losses. Second best record in all of Major League Baseball this year, only to the LA Dodgers, who won 111 games. This meant the Houston Astros had a bye for the wild card round. They were waiting for their opponent in the division series, which ended up being the Seattle Mariners. Now, the Seattle Mariners were swept by the Houston Astros. The thing is, though, it may have been a sweep, but the Seattle Mariners actually had games that were actually close. So it's not like the Houston Astros blew out the Seattle Mariners. Now, in fact, if you look at game one, Seattle was ahead going into the bottom of the ninth. Houston was down to the last out and had one on. Basically, all you needed was a home run to win the game if you're the Houston Astros. One out and Seattle takes a 1-0 series lead. Well, Yordan Alvarez smacked a home run to end the game, and they won 8-7 in walk-off fashion. In game two, Houston came away with a 4-2 victory. If you look at game three, Seattle was trying to survive for another day. Well, this game was 0-0 going into the 18th inning, and that's when Jeremy Pena for the Houston Astros homered, and that was it. So, Seattle, good job, but you couldn't get the job done. But you are a young team, so I expect more from you next year. Now, going on to the American League Championship Series, they faced the New York Yankees. They swept the Yankees, outscoring them 18-9. Now, the pitching for Houston kept the Yankees hitters off balance. The Yankees couldn't take advantage when they had runners on, couldn't get the timely hit. The Houston Astros got the timely hit. So that's how Houston got to the World Series. Now, if you look at the World Series, the Astros are back in the World Series because basically because of their hitting and pitching, and we will get there in a minute. If you look at the Astros, though, they lost in 6 games to the Atlanta Braves last year. Now, the amazing part about this year's run for the Houston Astros, if you look at their postseason this year, they haven't lost a game. Looking at the series, both teams can hit the baseball. The Philadelphia Phillies batting average in this postseason is .237. Again, I'm going to say that again. Phillies batting average is .237, while Houston stands at .227. Pretty close there. The Phillies rely on the long ball, and they've hit more home runs at 16, and the Astros are at 12. Now, the Phillies lineup is pretty dangerous and includes hitters like Juan Segura, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, and Bryce Harper. All of these hitters can have timely base hits to not only be in scoring position, but to score runs. Of course, Bryce Harper has been on fire this postseason with a .419 batting average, 5 home runs, and 11 RBIs. For the Astros, they have a lineup that is just as good as the Phillies. They counter with Jose Altuve, Alex Bergman, so that's Jose Altuve, Alex Bergman, and Yordan Alvarez. You can't make a mistake to these hitters because those are extra base hits or home runs. The offense for both teams is going to carry them in this series. Looking at the pitching, Houston has the better pitching. Their team ERA is at 1.88. The starters are getting it done, and that's going to be their strength. The starters can pitch deep into games. That's going to be key to saving the bullpen. The Astros starting ERA is unbelievable. 2.77. When Astros manager Dusty Baker goes to the bullpen, he can trust his arms there. Their team ERA, and it's unbelievable so far, 0.82 with 4 saves, and they haven't blown them. So basically no blown saves, but an ERA of 0.82 for the relievers for the Houston Astros. Philadelphia, though, also has great pitching. Their team ERA is 3.06. So the team ERA for Philadelphia is still pretty good for their pitchers at 3.06. Starters don't allow many base hits or runs as their ERA is 2.96. Now the problem is, if this series becomes about the bullpen, I don't know if I trust Philadelphia. You can't trust them as much as Houston. Their ERA is 3.19. They have 4 saves, but 1 blown save. Really, if you dive into the series, it's really even. There's no doubt that Philadelphia and Houston are the best 2 teams this postseason, and they've proven that considering they are in the World Series. There is a reason why they are still standing and trying to be World Series champions. Now, if you look at it, both teams can win a close game, and their pitching is going to lead the way. So pitching is key in the series. If either team has a lead early in the game, that may not hold up because of the offense from both teams. I had to say, it's going to be a close series, but my pick in the World Series is the Astros in 6. Would I like to see a 7-game series? Of course I would. That would be the best for baseball. The Astros have the home field advantage, and I think that will give them the edge. I wouldn't be surprised to see all these games basically be close. 2 or 3 runs, 1 or 2 or 3 runs. They are not going to have blowouts. 1 or 2 games maybe, but for the most part, you're going to have games that are going to be close. So you're looking at 1 or 2 or 3 runs that will decide these games. I'm excited about it, but again, I have the Houston Astros in 6 games, I should say. My pick again, the Astros in 6 games, even though that I would like to see a 7-game series. This would give the Astros their first World Series victory since 2017. We're going to move on to the Denver Broncos as they face the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, England this Sunday. Kickoff, and I don't like it, but I'm not here to talk about that, as kickoff is set at 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time. I have already discussed how I feel about these international games and kickoff times. If you want to look back to see what I have to say on the matter, I have an article written at sports-scoop.com called International NFL Games. Now, I'm not here to talk about that or get into that subject. The Broncos go to London, England on a 4-game losing streak against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So 4 straight losses in this season going to London, England as a take on Jacksonville. Now, the Broncos sit at 2-5 and last place in the AFC West. Now, there are rumors that the ownership group of Walton Penner, who owns the Broncos, is losing patience with Nathaniel Hackett. I get it. They are 2-5, and I understand if you're 2-5, you lose patience with the head coach. This is not what the Broncos fans or the ownership group anticipated going into this year. Of course, Nathaniel Hackett is the head coach. He's an offensive-minded coach. I will get there in a minute. Now, if you look at the defense for Denver, they're playing lights out, playing great football. The defense is second in yards allowed, giving up 286 yards per game. Passing-wise, they permit 173.1 yards per game. Scoring-wise, teams cannot score on this defense as they give up 16.4 points per game. The one area that needs cleaning up, though, is the rush defense. Offenses are running the ball at will against the Denver Broncos defense. Basically, they are getting gashed in the running game. The Broncos can't seem to stop the running game that well. They are 15th in rush defense, giving up 112.9 yards per game. The thing is, though, opponents can run the football, which keeps drives alive, and that actually tires out that Broncos defense. Denver doesn't have an answer to stop it. Now, if you look at the defensive stats, they are great. I mean, the Broncos have a top 5 defense in the league. The old saying is defenses win championships. That is true, except you need some kind of offense. Nathaniel Hackett, like I said, is an offensive-minded coach. He supposedly knows how to run an offense. Hackett was the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills from 2013 to 2014. He went to Jacksonville from 2015 to 2019. Green Bay, of course, was his last stop as he was the offensive coordinator there, and he was there from 2019 to 2021. Of course, he got the job to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and in Green Bay, it helped that he had Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback. When he was hired by the Denver Broncos, Denver thought they had a high-powered offense that was going to sling the ball all over the field. They traded for Hall of Fame quarterback, and yes, I'm going to call him a Hall of Fame quarterback, Russell Wilson, from the Seattle Seahawks in a trade in the offseason. Everything looked great on paper. One problem, though. Paper does not win football games. The offense is so bad for the Broncos. 23rd in total offense, averaging 328.6 yards per game. 20th in the league in passing yards at 219.1 yards per game. 19th running the football at 109.4 yards per game. The worst part is you can't score points. The Broncos average 14.3 points per game, dead last. Scoring points is the name of the game. You want to outscore your opponents, and Denver is not doing that. That is second to last. Actually, if you look at it, that is last in the league at 14.3 points per game. But the team that is second to last is Pittsburgh, who scores 15.3 points per game with a rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Hackett has to prove he can coach the offense, and he hasn't. For whatever reason, he is the play caller, and I don't understand why. The play calls are the same and not creative. We saw last week it didn't matter if it was Russell Wilson or Brett Rippon under center. The offense is rather boring no matter what quarterback is under center, whether it's Russell Wilson or Brett Rippon, because it didn't make a difference. Here is the play calls. Run on first down, then pass on, it's run first down, then it's run on second down, then a pass. The thing is, though, even when they pass it, it reminds me of last year when third downs, basically the third down pass calls go short of the sticks for first downs. We saw it last year with Pat Shurmur, and it's just coming back this year, even though that it's a new whole coaching staff. But the fact of the matter is on third down, they run a pass play short of the sticks for first downs. When a running play works, if they do it on first down, they're going to do it on second down because it works, and they go right back to it. It needs to change. Do not use the same play call each and every play. If it's working on first down, get a little creative on second and third down. Don't run the ball through the middle on first down and say, oh, let's do it again on second. It needs to change. As for Hackett, drop the play calling. Worry about the whole team and not just the offense. As for firing Hackett, I wouldn't do it right now. I get it though, because Hackett wasn't my first or second choice to take over the Denver Broncos as head coach. I understand in Broncos country, we expect a winning team, and we thought we got that when we traded for Russell Wilson. Firing Hackett isn't the way to go. I get the offense isn't clicking the way we want it to. The thing is, though, look at the injuries on offense. Wide receiver Tim Patrick tore an ACL during training camp. That was a big loss. Offensive lineman Garrett Bulls is done for the year with a broken leg. Running back Javonte Williams is out for the year with a torn ACL and LCL in his knee. Running back Mike Boone is out until week 13 with an ankle injury. Also, Russell Wilson, even though that he's starting this week, had to miss last week because of a hamstring injury. So if you look at Tim Patrick, Garrett Bowles, Javonte Williams, and Mike Boone, that is 4 offensive players. You could have added Russell Wilson last week, and that would have been 5. But getting back to the injuries this year, Patrick, Bowles, and Williams are starters. So that hurts. I get injuries aren't an excuse for how bad this team is playing, but teams that make the playoffs are generally healthy. The Broncos aren't. I get that you want a healthy team and the Broncos aren't. I get the ownership is upset. They want a better product on the field for the fans. They didn't hire Hackett. That is the ownership. Firing Hackett isn't the answer. Denver has to play better football somehow, some way. I say let Hackett coach and give up some of his coaching duties, including play calling. Maybe it gets better, maybe it doesn't, but something needs to change. Don't fire the guy in the middle of the year, though. If you're going to can Hackett, wait until the end of the year. Then the Walton Penner Group, that is the Walton Penner Group, can start a coaching search with George Patton to find a head coach that they want. That way they can have their own guy. That is, if you're the Walton Penner Group, you want your own guy there. And the fact of the matter is, this is not your guy in Nathaniel Hackett. As for the Broncos, just don't do it now. Even if they lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, England, do not fire Nathaniel Hackett now. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. On to my NFL picks of the week. Last week wasn't bad as I was 3-2, and overall I am 22-13. So I'm having a pretty good year. We're going to start with the New York Giants as they head to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seattle is a 3-point favorite. The Giants are one of the surprise teams this year because they are 6-1. Seattle, you could say, is a surprise at 4-3. Looking at the Giants, the thing that makes them hard to play against is their running game. Sure, Daniel Jones, their quarterback, can pass it, and he has protected the football well with 2 picks. The way they're getting it done, though, is the running game of Saquon Barkley, who's averaging an impressive 5.1 yards per carry. That makes it easier for Daniel Jones to pass the football. For the Seattle Seahawks, find a way to stop that running game on defense. You do that, and you make Daniel Jones pass the football. For the Seattle Seahawks offense, they're a tough team to play against. They're a tough team to play against because Geno Smith can throw and run with the football. The Giants need to spy Geno Smith so he can't run outside the pocket. Also, Smith has receivers who he can trust, and those are DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. The Giants need to play tight coverage on these receivers, and if not, it could be a long game. In the end, Seattle gets it done. The Buffalo Bills hosting the Green Bay Packers. The Bills are an 11.5-point favorite. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He can buy time in the pocket to find his open receivers. The Bills, though, won't let him do that. They will blitz him and bring pressure. But if you're going to do that, you have to sack Aaron Rodgers. If they don't, Rodgers will find his open receivers for first downs or longer. The Bills offense starts with Josh Allen, and he's playing at an MVP level. Allen needs to keep playing mistake-free football and find Stephon Diggs and other receivers. As for Buffalo, though, they don't have a threat of a running game. For the Green Bay Packers defense, try to put pressure on Josh Allen. That may end up in sacks or incompletions. Turnovers are great too. Both offenses can score points, and they will do it in bunches. This game comes down to which team can keep drives alive on third downs, and I don't think Green Bay will be that successful, and Buffalo will, as the Buffalo Bills keep it rolling. The San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams. The 49ers are 1.5-point favorite. I love divisional matchups because both teams know how big of a game this is. For the 49ers offense, Jimmy Garoppolo needs his offensive line to give him time to throw the football. That way he can find Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, among others. George Kittle is his tight end, and he loves using him. Christian McCaffrey is going to be key in this game because if he can run the football, that will keep drives alive for the 49ers while not allowing the Rams offense back onto the field. For the Rams, though, create pressure and force the 49ers into third and long situations. If you look at the Rams offense, Matt Stafford can toss the ball to Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, I should say. The 49ers know this and have to cover all these receivers for the LA Rams. Also blitz Stafford if to the 49ers defense so he doesn't have time to throw the football. It will be a close game, but the 49ers are the pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are an 11-point favorite. The Eagles offense doesn't have to change. They're having success because their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, can throw and run with the football. He has been smart with the football, and he needs to continue to be. The Steelers defense can't allow Hurts to run with the football. Even if Hurts is able to run, you have to spy him so that those runs don't go very far. Hurts can also pass it, so having coverage if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers defense on these receivers is a must. For the Steelers offense, rookie Kenny Pickett is their quarterback. He's a rookie and is learning how to play at the NFL level. For him to have success, he needs time to throw the football. The Steelers' offensive line has to give Kenny Pickett time to throw the football. If not, the Eagles will blitz him, that is Kenny Pickett, all game long if you're not protecting him, and it's difficult for Pickett to have success. At some point, the Eagles have to lose, but it won't be this week as they get the win. The New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. The New York Jets are a 1.5-point favorite. The Jets are another surprise team at 5-2. So what do they do well? They run the football. Quarterback Zach Wilson doesn't have to do much when the passing game is working. Even when he passes it, Wilson has to be smart with the football. The Patriots defense knows this and has to stop the run. So force them to be a passing team. If they limit the running game of the New York Jets, that will force Zach Wilson to throw the football. Wilson hasn't shown he can win a game this year by just throwing the football. For the Patriots offense, they can run and pass it. They have to keep the Jets defense off balanced. But in the end, the Jets are going to win this football game. My picks again: New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle. Green Bay versus Buffalo, give me the Buffalo Bills. The San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams, I should say. So that's San Francisco versus LA, San Francisco. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, or I should say, fly, Eagles, fly. The New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. The New York Jets, Jets. I'm Jordan Long. This has been Under Review. Read my blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. Check out all the shows that we have on the Sideline Sports Network and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our great shows on this network. We have shows every single day. This has been a Sideline Sports production.